Chapter 31. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The enemy was in a state of complete panic. Moria's sudden attack made everyone react sharply. Blackbeard and Doflamingo, fellow members of the 7 warlords of the sea, grinned maliciously. Nothing entertained them more than watching chaos unfold. Mihawk, however, remained impassive, showing no interest in the spectacle. Before the surrounding soldiers could react, Vice Admiral Tsuru's expression tightened as she quickly realized the danger, but she couldn't intervene in time. Sengoku, observing the entire scene, merely raised an eyebrow, remaining still. Despite his age, the fleet admiral possessed the power to halt Moria's assault. However, his position demanded restraint. He had invited Kurosawa today partly to remind the Shichibukai that the new generation of Marines was formidable, not like the perceived weakness of the past. Sengoku also believed Kurosawa wasn't someone Moria could easily ambush. How could a man who could injure Silvers rarely be defeated by Moria? Besides, Kurosawa had just taken down the Straw Hat Pirates, while Moria had been defeated by them. Bartholomew Kuma easily detected the shadowy attack, but Sengoku stayed his hand. Since he wasn't the target, he chose to observe. This was a chance to gauge Kurosawa's true strength. After all, he had defeated Dragon's son. Kuma found himself curious. In the blink of an eye, the shadow was less than a yard from Kurosawa, yet the Marine remained unfazed, seemingly oblivious to the threat. Mariah, the attacker, wore a triumphant smirk. He believed the undetectable nature of his shadow attack had sealed Kurosawa's fate. At the same time, Mariah seethed inwardly. Dan Doflamingo, he totally played me. There's no way the Straw Hat Kid who beat me could lose to this nobody sergeant. However, from the moment Kurosawa entered the banquet hall, his all-seeing 6 eyes had witnessed everyone's actions and expressions. Kurosawa also understood Sengoku's reasons for inaction, but a test was a test. That didn't mean Kurosawa had to simply accept it, even if it came from a warlord of the sea. Seeing Kurosawa's lack of reaction, Sengoku began to doubt. Was the intel wrong? Is Kurosawa weaker than Vice Admiral Onigimo claimed? This is bad. If this punk kills a Marine in front of me, I'll lose face. In an instant, countless thoughts raced through Sengoku's mind, and the dormant power within him began to stir. A faint aura already surrounded his body. Just as he prepared to intervene, Kurosawa looked up, his blue eyes meeting Moria's. The warlord felt an inexplicable sense of dread wash over him, and cold sweat trickled down his back. Swish, the shadow slammed into the unlimited technique's defense, creating visible ripples. After a brief delay, it pierced through, but its speed and power were significantly diminished. With an attack this weak, no wonder Luffy, without Hawkeye, could beat him. And this guy fought Kaido back in the day. I didn't expect he'd fallen so far after his spirit broke. Kurosawa sneered, then stomped his foot, pinning the shadow attack to the ground. The sudden shift in events startled Mariah. When he met Kurosawa's gaze, he recognized that look. When did I see that before? Mariah's thoughts drifted back to the past. He remembered Kaido giving him the same look during their battle. It was the look given to the weak. Bastard. Seeing that Kurosawa was unharmed, Sengoku's Buddha-like aura quickly receded, as if it had never been there. However, Kurosawa's next action made him uneasy. Vice Admiral Tsuru had just breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Kurosawa draw his sword with lightning speed. The renowned blade left its sheath, and instantly, the temperature in the banquet hall plummeted. The mesmerizing dark flame pattern on the blade glowed brightly, and its extreme sharpness astonished even the world's greatest swordsman. Glancing sideways, Mihawk's sharp eagle eyes narrowed slightly. He could sense that the blade wielded by the young Marine before him was in no way inferior to his own black sword Yoru. If the list of supreme-grade swords hadn't been finalized by history, this blade would certainly be among them. A supreme-grade sword. The powerful figures present quickly recognized the blade's extraordinary nature, and their thoughts diverged instantly. However, it didn't end there. Kurosawa wasn't just brandishing his sword idly. When he drew his blade, blood would be spilled. Buzz buzz buzz. The ominous sound resembled the wails of demons from hell. Surging cursed energy and tyrannical sword energy converged, then instantly transformed into a flying slash that cut through the air, heading straight for Moriya's face. Schwa, the LV3 technique, solution, combined with the current LV5 swordsman slash, made this blade truly extraordinary. A dark light flickered in the banquet hall, and a dark edge was reflected in everyone's eyes. Feeling the sharpness of the blade's light, the powerful figures present couldn't help but feel a slight sting in their eyes. When this slash fell into Mihawk's eyes, he had already made a judgment in his heart. The slash that entered the realm of the great swordsman was mixed with energy he had never seen before, and the speed was faster than the ordinary great swordsman's slash. Interesting young man, that the corners of Blackbeard's mouth slowly widened. This flying slash is incredible. It's a shame he's a Marine, or I'd recruit him. Bartholomew Kuma's expression remained unchanged. In his mind, he was already calculating the outcome if this slash were directed at him. Doflamingo, who had previously found the event dull, couldn't help but laugh wickedly when he saw Kurosawa easily block Moriya's attack and launch a counterattack at the same time. Fufufu, what an interesting guy, that even he felt a strong threat from this flying slash. If he died here, it would be a piece of cake for him, but today's meeting would be very exciting. Thinking of this, Doflamingo glanced at Sengoku, whose eyes were slightly gloomy at this time, but he obviously had no intention of attacking. From the knife swung by Kurosawa, Sengoku had already made a more accurate judgment of Kurosawa's strength. Such a sharp slash, it can be said that no one in the new navy of the same period can stop it. Absolutely the first star of the navy. In the navy, there is really an extraordinary guy. It won't be long before this kid will be famous all over the world. In that huge war that is about to sweep across the entire Marineford. Doflamingo smiled evilly. Then Moriya, how should you deal with it? As the flying slash hurtled towards him, Moriya cried out in surprise. He never imagined that Kurosawa would not only block his attack at the last moment but also dare to draw his sword against him. Dark bats, Hawkeye armor up. In desperation, Moriya only had time to summon several dark bats and coat his arms in armament Hawkeye to defend himself. With a single swish, the flying slash bisected the dark bats. Clang! The dark red slash slammed into Moriya's arms, sending sparks flying. Soon, the terrifying force behind the slash made Moriya's arms tremble. Under his horrified gaze, a trickle of blood sprayed from his arms, then he was sent flying as if struck by a massive ship. His body crashed through the banquet hall's wall and two more walls before being buried beneath fallen bricks and a cloud of dust. For a moment, the banquet hall fell silent. Ding! Congratulations to the host for the first confrontation with the 7 warlords of the sea. Achievement rewards received. Chapter 32. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The system flashed. Reward, 5,000 points. Oh. This system's pretty slick. They're handing out bonuses now. Kurosawa's lips quirked into a smile, but to everyone else, it looked like he was mocking the loser. The navy soldier stared at Kurosawa, stunned. They hadn't expected him to attack Gecko Moriya so suddenly, or that he was so damn strong. One flying slash and Gecko Moriya was down. That's one of the 7 warlords of the sea. A supposed major power in these waters. And Kurosawa just took him down. Wait, he's not dead. Just as the navy soldiers started to get their bearings. Cough, you bastard. A measly navy sergeant dares to attack me. I'm one of the 7 warlords. A giant claw emerged from the rubble. Moriya coughed up blood, still cursing. You'll pay for this. You think I won't just quit? See how the navy likes facing the Whitebeard Pirates without my help. Moriya was ranting, but the banquet hall remained silent. Fwahahaha. Doflamingo leaned back in his chair, holding his face and cracking up. What are you laughing at, you punk? Moriya roared, his chest heaving. His hands were trembling uncontrollably, leaving a trail of blood. His arm now had a nasty gash, deep enough to see bone. Moriya now believed that Kurosawa definitely had the firepower to take down the Straw Hat Pirates. When he looked at Kurosawa again, there was fear in his eyes. It seemed that after being defeated by Luffy, Moriya was getting back to his old self. and even the overbearing presence he had lost was starting to return. Otherwise, that slash would have broken both his arms. You think too highly of yourself. You're just one of the 7 warlords. Try to leave, and the Navy will make an example of you. Kurosawa's gaze swept over Moria, the blade in his hand gleaming, reflecting off Moria's face. Kurosawa's words resonated with the Navy soldiers in the banquet hall. The 7 warlords of the sea were pirates, plain and simple. Without the world government's seal of approval, the Navy would hunt them down. The Navy was the real boss in these waters. The Navy soldiers puffed out their chests, filled with pride. Sengoku smiled, noticing the change in atmosphere. That was the reaction he'd hoped for. Kurosawa had hit the nail on the head. Moria was just a tool recruited by the government, a common pirate. What was there to be so conceited about? Sengoku sized up Kurosawa. He was a rare talent. Unlike the ugly or ferocious monster generals of the past, he and Garp could be considered handsome. The more he looked, the more pleased Sengoku was with Kurosawa. He decided to recommend Kurosawa as the face of the new navy. You bastard! You looking for a fight? Moria's eyes were wide with fury, but he was clearly scared of Kurosawa's power. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hesitated and attacked. He was a world-renowned warlord. How could he let this nobody step all over him? You're bragging about your combat power when you couldn't even block one sword. Kurosawa's tone was calm, as if he was just stating facts. Vice Admiral Tsuru, ahem. Okay, that's enough. Let's leave it at that. Fwahahaha. It would be way more fun to let them duke it out. I think Kurosawa's got a point. Doflamingo was still stirring the pot, hoping to see some chaos. Kurosawa glanced at the guy in the pink flamingo feathers. He wasn't surprised Doflamingo knew about him. He was just like Crocodile, enjoying manipulating people and using idiots as pawns. Ha ha ha. Blackbeard tore a chunk of meat off his massive leg, eagerly waiting for a fight to break out. Mihawk's eyes were fixed on Kurosawa with strong interest. He had thought Roronoa Zoro, whom he met in the East Blue, was a rare talent. Now it seemed this Kurosawa guy had even more potential. Is that all you got? Bastard. Look at my arm. It was almost chopped off by this guy. Moria was still backing down. I said. Enough. This is the end of it. Understand? Tsuru's gaze bore into Moria, a flash of warning in her steely eyes. As an old guard vice admiral, one of the Navy's 3 legends alongside Garp and Sengoku, Tsuru's authority was absolute. Moria shut his mouth, though his eyes were still full of malice and cold fury. Fwahahaha. Vice Admiral Tsuru, no need to get so riled up. Seeing there wouldn't be any more entertainment, Doflamingo said with disappointment. So this is the Navy rookie who made a name for himself in the Sabaody archipelago, taking down 3 supernovas from the worst generation. Impressive indeed. Kurosawa didn't react to Doflamingo's praise. It was highly likely that this guy had egged Moria on in the first place. He was the same as Crocodile, who liked to play with people's hearts and use idiots as guns. To everyone's surprise, Sengoku suddenly stood and walked straight toward Kurosawa. Everyone watched in shock as Sengoku faced Kurosawa with a smile. Welcome back, Navy hero, Sergeant Kurosawa. Whoa. The banquet hall went silent. Marshal Sengoku personally greeting a sergeant. What was going on? Envy, jealousy, and admiration washed over Kurosawa. He was a little taken aback himself. Marshal Sengoku, I was just doing my duty. With everyone watching, and sensing that the atmosphere was right, Sengoku's expression turned solemn. Sergeant Kurosawa, I hereby officially promote you to the rank of Navy Colonel, with the title of Navy Admiral. Whoa! The Marines erupted again. From sergeant to colonel in one jump. Sengoku placed his hands on Kurosawa's shoulders and continued, you performed admirably in the Sabaody archipelago, saving countless civilians from danger, and even killed 3 supernovas known as the worst generation. You struck a major blow against pirates and set an example for the entire Navy. From this day forward, you are the standard bearer of the new Navy. The whole Navy will learn from you. The Navy is proud to have you. Tsuru's eyes flickered slightly. The pressure on Sengoku must be immense. If Kurosawa failed in the upcoming war with the Whitebeard Pirates, it would be a major blow to Sengoku's authority. This unexpected turn of events made the seven warlords exchange glances. They weren't stupid. Sengoku's actions at this critical moment weren't random. Sengoku genuinely saw Kurosawa as the future of the Navy. After a brief pause, the seven warlords of the sea meeting resumed, focusing on manpower strategies. With Kurosawa's show of power and Sengoku's support, this seven warlords of the sea meeting was smoother than Tsuru expected. Kurosawa's actions had strangely eased the tension, like a pressure relief valve. Gecko Moria, having been taught a lesson by Kurosawa, was the most compliant. Toward the end of the meeting. Hey! Marshal Sengoku, gotta ask you something. Sengoku eyed Doflamingo warily, forced to reply. Get on with it. Hey! Marshal Sengoku, I just gotta know, this time the enemy's different. Even with 100,000 elite Navy soldiers, you're up against Whitebeard. You think, you can actually win? That everyone present started calculating the odds, turning their attention to Sengoku, as the Navy's top commander. His answer was highly anticipated. After a moment of silence, Sengoku raised his head, his face serious. This battle. The Navy will win. Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was pissed. Hey, kid, wait up. The meeting of the seven warlords of the sea wrapped up, and everyone started heading out. Moria made sure to throw a jab Kurosawa's way before he left, even though Moria knew damn well that Sengoku, the fleet admiral, practically guaranteeing Kurosawa's future in the Navy right then and there. As long as Sengoku was in charge, anyone thinking of messing with Kurosawa would have to think twice about the admiral's wrath. But, hey, you gotta talk trash, right? Can't lose face. Kurosawa, I'll be watching what you do. Bartholomew Kuma said, then strolled off with a book tucked away. After seeing him today, Kurosawa had a pretty good idea about what he was about. His verdict: if he hadn't died early, he would have been the linchpin of the times. Ha 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 ha. Kurosawa, just a warlord, huh? Ha ha ha. Blackbeard, big gut hanging out, had been eating and drinking non-stop since the banquet started. He was stuffed. Kurosawa glared at Teach. Even at this distance, his gaze felt off. The biggest schemer in the One Piece world was about to rear his ugly head. Blackbeard knew damn well that Kurosawa was looking at him with disgust, but he couldn't care less. So what? As far as he was concerned, as long as they had something to gain, they could be partners. A mere warlord was music to Teach's ears. Who cared about being a warlord? Even being one of the four emperors wasn't the end game for him. Blackbeard Teach wanted to be the only damn king in the world. Only losers get hung up on being a warlord, ha ha ha. Eyes wide, Blackbeard Teach grinned. So, wanna throw down? Get lost. You're not worth my time. Kurosawa said coldly. Even if he went pirate, he wouldn't bother teaming up with a guy like Blackbeard Teach. Ha ha ha, too bad. Blackbeard Teach gave a nasty grin and split. Fufufu. Kid, you're laying it on thick. Doflamingo, rocking a flamingo feather coat, strutted past Kurosawa on pink high heels, hands in his pockets. Kurosawa rolled his eyes. Talk about high profile, who's more over the top than Doflamingo? Doflamingo, I'll throw you a bone, tell you something for free. Oh. Kurosawa raised an eyebrow. He was curious what the underworld's joker had to say. Fufufu. Doflamingo sidled up and whispered in Kurosawa's ear, someone's got a bead on you. You better watch your back. Who? Feels like half the world is gunning for me right now. Kurosawa didn't flinch. Fufufu. CP0, ever heard of them? Doflamingo asked with a sly grin. Kurosawa's face went hard. The sudden danger in the air made Doflamingo squirm. After a long pause, Kurosawa said softly, are you going to kill me? Fufufu, I thought you were too tough to believe me. This is all I'm saying. Don't you dare tell anyone I told you that. With that, Doflamingo sauntered off. Watching the arrogant stroll, Kurosawa fought the urge to draw his sword and slash him. That info was useful. I might spare your life later. Doflamingo stopped dead in his tracks, turning his head slightly. Veins seemed to be popping out on his forehead. Fufufu. What a cocky brat. After that, Doflamingo left without looking back. As far as he was concerned, Kurosawa was strong, but it would take him years to get strong enough to be a threat. He'd clawed his way up from nothing, walked through hell. Now, he was the biggest arms dealer and transit hub in the underworld. He had the celestial dragons backing in the legitimate world and Kaido's muscle in the black market. Someone trying to mess with him? Who'd be that brain dead? Tap. 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 A tall, skinny figure approached. Feeling the sharp aura from behind, Kurosawa knew who it was without looking. Mihawk, usually stone-faced, was almost smiling. Kurosawa, that's an interesting sword you got there. I hope you won't disgrace it. Kurosawa smiled back. Don't worry, I won't. I'm gonna take this sword and stand on top of the world. Mihawk was taken aback. His sharp eyes drilled into Kurosawa's blue ones, like he was talking about the weather. Take the sword and stand on top of the world. Kurosawa's words silenced the room, saying that in front of the world's greatest swordsman spoke volumes. Very good. I'm looking forward to it. Mihawk's smile widened. He hadn't faced a worthy opponent, besides Shanks, in a long time. The 7 warlords are special pirates hand-picked by the top brass after careful consideration, to deal with the situation, Sengoku said in a serious voice, followed by Vice Admiral Tsuru. Kurosawa, Fleet Admiral Sengoku. Kurosawa, you have potential, but this time, you're up against something different. The Navy has to deal with the strongest pirate crew in the world right now. Their captain, Whitebeard, could tear down Marineford single-handedly if nobody stops him. You might think I'm joking, but the real powerhouses can do that kind of damage. Seeing Sengoku's serious face, Kurosawa realized the weight on the fleet admiral's shoulders. Sengoku still believed in him and wanted to use him as a symbol of the new era Navy under pressure. Of course, the risk was worth the reward, and he would be getting more attention than ever. No one was going to decline his request. In this war against the Whitebeard Pirates, you just need to focus on the pirates below captain level. The vice admirals and admirals will handle the rest. Learn from the war and don't rush things. The future is your stage. Sengoku looked at Kurosawa hopefully, speaking earnestly. Kurosawa returned the salute. Understood, Fleet Admiral Sengoku. Seeing Kurosawa's attitude, Sengoku felt relieved. Finally, he had a reliable successor. He wasn't like Garp and Kazan, those troublemaking headaches. Whitebeard. Bring it on. Why should the Navy fear you? Bala bala bala. Beigia. Huashishin, Meishime, Fleet Admiral Sengoku, Morgans has already put it out. Hearing that, Sengoku smirked. You ready, Kurosawa? Tomorrow's headlines. In the New World, a massive ship shaped like a giant whale was sailing the sea. Chapter 34. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The massive whale head and the striking white-bearded skull on the mast. That's Whitebeard Newgate's calling card, the Emperor of the Sea himself. Unlike the Navy headquarters, which was buzzing with activity and tension before the war, things on the Moby Dick were surprisingly chill. Hey, Pops, you think that weirdo bird is gonna stiff us? Diamond Jozu asked, his voice booming. Marco, sporting a pineapple yellow pompadour, shot him a dirty look. Ha! Nobody in this ocean pulls that on the Whitebeard Pirates. His chest was inked with the Whitebeard Jolly Roger, and his abs were chiseled. If it weren't for the goofy hair, he'd be a total heartthrob. If he tries to ditch us, I'll personally deliver him to the newspaper office, roasted. Gururara. Marco, simmer down. All that bloodlust isn't healthy for a young'un like you. Whitebeard chuckled. The giant was hooked up to an 4 drip. Judging by how fast the fluid was flowing, he wasn't doing too hot. Most people would be out cold, but Whitebeard was still knocking back drinks, much to the dismay of the pretty nurse and his crew. "Pops, how many times do we have to tell you? Take it easy on the booze." Vista, the flower sword, frowned. Marco agreed about the drinking, but couldn't get Newgate to listen. "Yeah, Pops, show some restraint," Whitebeard just laughed. "Gururara. Relax, boys, this is nothing. I'm Whitebeard. Pops. Captain Marco. Some guy who looks like a bird says he's here to see you. TCH, finally. Thought he'd chickened out. Send him in." Marco scoffed. "Ah, Mr. Newgate. My apologies for the tardiness." Morgan's voice preceded him. He doffed his hat the second he stepped onto the deck. Marco's voice suddenly whispered in Morgan's ear, "You better show Pop some respect. Or I'll strip you naked, starting with that feathery coat." Morgan's jumped. He hadn't even seen Marco move. "You're fast. No wonder you're the captain of Whitebeard's first division," Morgan's buttered him up. "Whitebeard is as impressive as they say. I was practically paralyzed with awe from afar. And I bet he's still got the moves." He stole a glance at Whitebeard, taking in all the tubes. So, it's true. He's not what he used to be, his fighting power must have taken a hit, but, what is this pressure, Morgan's had seen it all, but Whitebeard still made him feel like a bug under a boot. Whitebeard ignored the flattery and kept drinking, expression unchanged. "Alright, knock off the journalist act and get to the point. My boys and I have a party to get to." "Ha! You saw right through me. Straight to the interview, then." Morgan's pulled a notepad from behind his back. "First question, Mr. Newgate. The Navy headquarters has mobilized 100,000 elite troops, all 3 admirals, and the 7 warlords of the sea. The main event's at Marineford. With that kind of firepower, are you really confident about rescuing Ace?" Morgan's drilled Whitebeard with his beady eyes, trying to catch any flicker of doubt. Everyone else hung on Whitebeard's answer. It was impossible to deny the weight of the situation, especially for the old-school pirates. They knew how terrifying 1 admiral was, let alone 3. Even the 4 emperors were feeling the heat. Whitebeard just grinned and took a huge swig of wine. "Gururara. He's my son." Morgan's was stunned. What did that even mean? After a beat, he asked, "So, you think he can be saved?" Marco snapped, "Obviously." "What, are you dense?" Morgan scribbled furiously and continued. "Next question, with the admirals and Mr. Newgate's current condition, can you win?" "Gururara. I am Whitebeard." Morgan's was taken aback, then forged on. "If Garp gets involved, what are your chances?" "Gururara. I am Whitebeard." Whitebeard just kept drinking, and Morgan's was starting to lose it. "Okay, Mr. Newgate, I admire your confidence. But there's this rookie in the Navy. I think you should know about him." Everyone cracked up. Marco scoffed, "A newbie? What's he gonna do, rearrange the furniture?" Morgan's, No, Mr. Marco. This kid's different. He's only been in the Navy for a month, but he's already tearing it up. He's taken down 3 supernovas in a row and even beat the Straw Hats, who've been hogging the spotlight. He even went toe-to-toe with Dark King Rayleigh and injured him. Hell, Fleet Admiral Sengoku had someone contact me, wanting me to put him on the front page tomorrow to make him the new face of the Navy. Marco had only just heard the news, but Whitebeard just repeated, "Gururara. I am Whitebeard." Morgan's was deflated. After all that risk, the interview was a bust. Last question. When the Whitebeard Pirates, the strongest crew in the world, rulers of the New World, face the Navy, the overlords of the sea, who's the challenger? Whitebeard drained his cup. "The Navy is the challenger." Marco, equally cocky, crossed his arms. "Pops, we got this." Whitebeard grinned. "We will win because I am the strongest." Chapter 35. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Morgan's left, the Whitebeard Pirates kicked off their party. Morgan's mention of Kurosawa, the Navy's rising star, was completely forgotten. Back at his office, Morgan's was already plotting the next day's front page. Boss. Are you sure you want to risk ticking off both the Navy and Whitebeard with this story? Relax, that's the whole point. Tomorrow's paper will fly off the shelves. Morgan's grinned. The next day, a headline in the World Economic News sent shockwaves around the globe, sparking furious debate. The strongest man alive versus the Navy's new powerhouse. Who dares to challenge whom? Edward Newgate himself declared, the Navy's the challenger. Are you certain you can win this massive war, one destined to shake the world? Edward Newgate, I will win. Why? Edward Newgate, because I'm the strongest, damn it. This Navy prodigy, even Fleet Admiral Sengoku calls him the future of the Navy. Your thoughts? No comment, just photos of Edward Newgate hugging beautiful women and chugging booze. Note, definitely not photoshopped, while the world was buzzing over the headline, in the new world, aboard the Moby Dick. Pops, this bird brain is at it again, making stuff up like always. Marco glanced at the morning paper, looking unconcerned. Damn it, I should have clipped his wings and roasted him. He's ruining Pop's image. Flower Sword Vista fumed, sparks flying as he ground his swords together. Whitebeard chuckled. Gurara, let him be. We're just a bunch of notorious pirates anyway. Meanwhile, across the sea in Marineford, inside the Fleet Admiral's office, Sengoku's face was turning purple as he stared at the newspaper. That jerk. Who told him to write this garbage? What happened to Navy's pride? Ha, Sengoku, chill out. It's Morgan's, what do you expect? I think the headline's hilarious. Garp listened to his subordinates mocking the paper. This is insane. Didn't we agree on the talking points? The Navy's the challenger. That's a load of bull. A vein throbbed on Sengoku's forehead. On Amazon Lily, Monkey D. Luffy, having won over the Empress, learned about the impending war at Marineford. Seeing Kurosawa's picture, Luffy immediately remembered being knocked out cold by a single blow and his expression hardened. That creep beat up Nami and the others. Kurosawa. I'm gonna take him down. But first, gotta save Ace. A tall, beautiful figure emerged from behind Luffy. Boa Hancock, completely smitten with Luffy, fawned, Luffy, your enemies are my enemies. Thanks, Hancock. Kurosawa, please don't go. Rimuru clung to Kurosawa, tears streaming down her face. Kurosawa sighed. It's just a skirmish. Don't worry. There are admirals and vice-admirals up front, I'll just be observing. The bar owner, Liluya, sighed. Their opponent was the Whitebeard Pirates this time. Whitebeard's reputation rivaled even the pirate King Roger. Even toddlers would stop crying at the mention of his name. At a battle of this scale, Kurosawa could easily end up as cannon fodder. Rimuru knew this. She wasn't stupid. She just sobbed in Kurosawa's arms. Liar. After some classic Kurosawa comforting, he finally managed to reassure them. Back in his apartment in Marineford, Kurosawa bent down and started his daily grind. Push-up +1. Push-up +1. Push-up +1. After his workout, he admired his muscles. System, check my bounty points. Regular bounty points, 5,000. Billion level bounty points, 15,600. Alright. All that hard work is paying off. Kurosawa grinned. System, allocate some points. Ding. Congratulations, host. 3,000 regular bounty points have been invested. Domain, Demon Subduing Chef has been upgraded to LV2. Ding. Congratulations, host. 100 billion level bounty points have been invested. Domain, Demon Subduing Chef has been upgraded to LV3. The bounty points needed for skills above level 3 really jump. Looking at his remaining skills, Kurosawa decided to continue maxing out his natural fighter advantage. Ding. Congratulations, host. 2,000 regular bounty points and 100 billion level bounty points have been invested. Technique, 8 has been upgraded to LV2. Ding! Congratulations, host. 300 billion level bounty points have been invested. Physical technique has been upgraded to LV3. System panel, character, Kurosawa, human, abilities, Conqueror's Hawkeye, LV4, Six Eyes, LV3, virtual style, LV1, magic reversal, Azure, LV3, magic reversal, Vermilion, LV3, domain, infinite space, LV3, king of curses, LV1, art, explanation, LV3, art, 8, LV2, mystery, open, LV1, domain, demon subduing chef, LV3, physical technique, LV3, swordsmanship, LV5, natural fighter, LV3, armament hockey, LV3, reversal technique, LV2, unlimited technique, LV2, position, navy. Captain. Billion level bounty points, 1, 600. Item, famous sword Yami, supreme grade, prestige level, LV3. Your justice is admired. My skill tree is insane, that he had so many skills. Without the natural fighter bonus, practically a system replacement, he'd never be able to use them all. Too many skills can be a curse. Kurosawa looked out the window and smiled. Whitebeard Pirates. If I remember right, Whitebeard's bounty is over 5 billion. Bring it on. A few days later, only 8 hours left until Ace's public execution. Please leave a positive review and free gifts. Thank you so much to all the readers. It's really important to me as a young author. Thanks again. Chapter 36. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The soldiers were bustling around, preparing for the day ahead. Everyone, assemble. Let's go, let's go. Woo, this day was going to be one for the history books. Before dawn, the sirens were blaring all over Marineford. An unprecedented 100,000 elite Navy soldiers were roused from their sleep. Some, too excited to sleep, were already wide awake. As soon as they heard the signal, they jumped up and rushed to their posts. The Whitebeard Pirates are coming. This is it. I, Asen, will finally make a name for myself by taking down Whitebeard. Make a name for yourself? Maybe you should brush your teeth first. That's Whitebeard we're talking about. Aren't you even a little scared? Amidst the chatter, the 100,000 elite troops assembled at lightning speed. In Marineford Square, a line of imposing figures stood at the ready. These were the top-tier vice admirals from around the world and Navy headquarters. Reporting to Vice Admiral Firefist. The second training camp is assembled and awaiting orders. Firefist surveyed the troops, his face stern, before cracking a smile. Alright, you guys, don't get yourselves killed too fast out there. Miguel replied with conviction, don't worry, sir. Even if I go down, it'll be after I've ripped a few layers of skin off that old geezer. Firefist chuckled. Feisty little devil, aren't you? He then turned his gaze to Kurosawa in the crowd. And you, kid, don't go rushing in head first this time, or I won't be able to save your hide. Ding. Host's current situation detected. New choices available. Choice 1, single-handedly turn the tide of war and secure victory for your side. Reward. Proportional to performance. Choice 2, betray the Navy and join the Whitebeard Pirates, helping them rescue Port Gas D. Ace. Reward, domineering Hawkeye upgraded to LV5. Choice 3, kill everyone you can, fighting against both the Navy and the Whitebeard Pirates, and survive. Reward, King, World Class. Kurosawa met Firefist's eyes. Don't worry, instructor, I know my limits. For some reason, Kurosawa's confident gaze gave Firefist an uneasy feeling. He had a hunch Kurosawa would surprise everyone in this war. Live images of Marineford were being broadcast all over the world via Den Mushi. Well-equipped and incredibly tough Navy soldiers poured out in a never-ending stream, lining up perfectly in the square, as heavy artillery was rapidly deployed under precise orders. 50 massive warships encircled Marineford, forming an impenetrable wall. Most pirate crews would have turned tail and run at the mere sight of them. One by one, vice-admirals in their coats of justice and towering, giant vice-admirals arrived. The awe-inspiring scene showcased the might of the Navy headquarters to the entire world, and declared their determination to win this war. In the first half of the Grand Line, people were glued to the den mushy broadcasts, heatedly debating. Are the Whitebeard Pirates really that strong? The Navy's pulling out all the stops. The Navy's got this in the bag, no question. Look at all those warships and heavy artillery. They even have giants. Yeah, no way the Navy loses. Don't underestimate the Whitebeard Pirates. They say Whitebeard himself has the power to destroy the world. Destroy the world? Get real. Hey, look. It's the 7 warlords of the sea. But why are there only 5 of them? See that execution platform right there? That's where the Navy's strongest fighters are. The 3 admirals. Oh yeah, didn't the Navy say they had some rising star or something? Pfft, a rising star. What difference is that going to make in a war like this? Exactly, even Whitebeard's gonna be worn out after taking down 100 Marines. With 100,000 troops, the Navy's got it. In the second half of the Grand Line, countless notorious pirates were also eagerly awaiting the start of the war. Ha ha ha. Navy headquarters. Get ready for the wrath of Whitebeard. Fight, fight. I hope they tear each other apart so both sides are hurt. Then no one in the new world can stop us. This is Whitebeard. The pinnacle of pirate power. Whitebeard, sink Marineford for us. As time crept by, with less than 3 hours until the execution, Portgas d'Ace, the spark that ignited this war, was led to the execution platform. Marshal Sengoku and Garp walked together. Sengoku, Garp, I'm about to reveal everything. Do you have any objections? Garp replied grimly, say what you want. I'll just be here. As Sengoku approached the execution platform, the soldiers below were confused. This wasn't part of the battle plan, right? With the world watching, Sengoku picked up the den mushi. Before this war begins, I have an announcement to make. Why is Portgas d'Ace being publicly executed today? And why does his death hold such significance for the world? Kurosawa looked up at the execution platform. Here we go, he thought. If I remember right, Whitebeard should show up right after Sengoku's done talking. This is going to be epic. Sengoku, Ace, tell the world who your father is. Ace, my father is Whitebeard. Sengoku, no. Ace, there's no mistake. Whitebeard is my only father. Sengoku, on a small island, your mother, Portgas d'Rouge, evaded our search by keeping you in her womb for 20 months. And then, a child inheriting the most evil bloodline in the world was born. Your father is none other than the Pirate King, Gold Roger. As Sengoku finished speaking, the whole world seemed to fall silent, given the circumstances, and with Sengoku making the announcement, no one dared question the truth. After a moment of stunned silence, chaos erupted around the world. Fire Fist Ace is the son of the Pirate King Gold Roger. Damn it! Kill him! That evil bloodline must not be allowed to continue. At the Marine headquarters, the Navy soldiers in Marineford Square were equally enraged. Their sense of justice, fueled by the desire to execute Ace, reached a fever pitch. Justice will prevail in this battle. Soon, the Marines in the watchtower spotted something strange in the sea. They're here. Everyone, prepare for battle. Sengoku's forehead was slick with cold sweat. They just appeared. How did they do that? From the fog, pirate ships emerged on the water, a large fleet of pirate ships. Where's Whitebeard? Someone find him, now. Ranger Knight Doma. Lord Thunder Magaikwi. Brother DeKalb. The Great Whirlpool Spider Squad. Each one's a tough customer, a famous pirate captain who's made a name for themselves in the New World. There are 43 pirate crews in total. Still no sign of Whitebeard or his commanders. These are all from Whitebeard's crew, no doubt. Impossible. He has to be out there somewhere. Keep scanning the sea. Seeing the approaching pirate ships, Doflamingo grinned with anticipation. If Sengoku hadn't told him to stay put, he would have been relaxing in his rocking chair with a snack. Fufufu. This is getting interesting. It's really exciting. Come on, Whitebeard. Gurgle, 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 that a stream of bubbles rose to the surface near the harbor of Marineford. Sengoku noticed it. So that's how they did it. They coated their ships and approached from underwater. But how did they get here so fast? Splash, a massive wave surged into the sky as an enormous whale-shaped ship burst out of the water. It's the Moby Dick, that the Navy soldiers cried out as 3 more of Whitebeard's ships entered the bay. Captain Marco of the 1st Division. All 14 commanders are on board, that the final battle was about to begin. The air crackled with tension. Ding, 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 that the Moby Dick sent a series of metal clanging sounds toward the execution platform. From below, Borsellino craned his neck, looking curious. Hey, Sengoku. It's been decades, hasn't it, that a towering figure stood on the bow, radiating power. It was the captain of the 4 Emperor's pirates who ruled the New World, the strongest man in the world, Whitebeard. Whitebeard. Sengoku glared at his old enemy, clenching his teeth. Whitebeard grinned. Is my son doing all right? Because if he's not, you Navy guys better be prepared to be wiped off the map. That even facing such overwhelming odds, Whitebeard delivered a scathing remark. Despite being a pirate, his audacity shocked the entire world. Sengoku, do you really think you can win? Gurahaha. We will. Whitebeard flashed his teeth, his smile radiating confidence. The final battle begins. The declaration of victory from the world's strongest man. Chapter 37. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The battle was on, plain and simple. Countless naval ships were on high alert. The Whitebeard Pirates' main fleet had pulled off a surprise attack, blasting through the Navy headquarters' first line of defense, a ring of giant ships, but waiting for them on the coast were the 7 warlords of the sea and 100,000 elite Navy soldiers. The third line of defense consisted of top-tier vice-admirals, and the fourth line. The 3 admirals of the Navy, right there by the execution platform. On the coast, Doflamingo eyed Hawkeye Myhawk with curiosity. Heh. So, what's it gonna be this time? Still gonna sit on the sidelines as usual. Myhawk, of course, ignored him. Mariah smirked. Heh. Facing the Shichibukai, the 3 admirals, and 100,000 of our best, what's your plan of attack? Whitebeard. Boya Hancock, in her purple robe, wasn't interested in fighting. She was still worried about Luffy. Warring States, don't get cocky, everyone. Stay sharp. We're up against Whitebeard, we could lose this. Wait a second. Ace. Whitebeard set his Murakumajiri aside, braced his feet, and brought his hands together in front of his chest, gathering power. Then, he unleashed a sudden quake on both sides of the air. Boom. Under the puzzled gaze of the 100,000 elite naval soldiers, the air struck by Whitebeard's fists actually cracked visibly. These cracks spread like spiderwebs through the air, and then. Boom. The terrifying shockwave ripped into the sea. Under Whitebeard's masterful control, countless ocean currents began to vibrate and converge, building into colossal tidal waves, bigger than anyone had ever seen. As the ground shuddered violently, several of these waves soared into the sky, each one as huge as Marineford headquarters itself, towering over the top of Marineford in an instant. Marines stared, eyes wide. No one doubted that if a wave like that crashed down, that it would wipe out at least 2/3 of the 100,000 naval elite stationed in Marineford Square in one fell swoop. Kobe looked terrified. No way, this is Whitebeard's power, but even though he was stuck cleaning toilets, he was still mobilized for a battle of this scale. Kurosawa, a naval soldier, looked up, witnessing the sheer visual impact of waves big enough to swallow an entire island. It was overwhelming. On the Moby Dick, Whitebeard smiled, seeing their reactions, and the captains under his command mirrored his confidence. this was an attack from the world's strongest man. How would the Navy respond? Watching this unfold, Ace on the execution platform seemed to see a glimmer of hope, and memories of the past flooded his mind. Doflamingo laughed, amazed. What incredible power! Heh heh heh. That's gonna hurt the Navy. Under the despairing gazes of countless Navy soldiers. Ah la la, whoosh, a blue figure shot up from right below the execution platform, leaping over 300 feet into the air on sheer physical strength. Kazan stretched out his arms in the sky, gathering ultimate ice power in his palms, and then fired 2 blasts of extreme cold, freezing even the air itself, towards the oncoming tidal waves. Ice Age, Kazan's voice boomed across the battlefield. To everyone's shock, the waves that could have destroyed an island instantly began to freeze. In a single breath, the surging waves surrounding Navy headquarters were completely frozen over. The world's strongest man's opening strike of destruction was neutralized just like that. It's Admiral Kazan. That's the power of an admiral. You scared now, pirates? Whitebeard glared at the figure in the sky. Akiji, you little punk. Kazan, hundreds of meters away, held his hands out and conjured an ice spear. It might look simple, but anyone who knew better understood that even the strongest armament Hawkeye couldn't withstand that level of extreme cold. Ice Cube 2 spears. Kazan exhaled a blast of cold air, launching a deadly ice spear toward Whitebeard, who just smiled, raised his hand, and punched the air. Gururara. The invisible space shook, and the ultra-hard ice spear shattered before it could even get close to Whitebeard. The invisible shockwave still packed a punch, slamming into Kazan's body, but Kazan was ready. Before the shock hit, he had already transformed into his elemental form. Crack, with a crash, a ball of ice fell into the sea. Kazan extended his palm, instantly freezing the sea surface. At the same time, the Moby Dick, which had sneaked into the inner bay, was also frozen solid. What are you scared of? We've got an admiral backing us up. Fire! Bang, 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 as the cannons roared, hordes of pirates leaped off the Moby Dick. The war had officially begun. Amidst the shouts of charging soldiers, even Flower Sword Vista, the captain of the Whitebeard Pirates' 5th Division, joined the fray. In the Navy camp, the vice-admirals were ready to move. Soldiers! This battle is for justice. Show them what you've got and crush all evil. Kill. On the execution platform, Warring States glared at the white-cloaked figure in the distance. He knew Whitebeard was probably watching the battlefield with a smug grin on his face. That bastard, if someone could attack the commander directly, it would boost morale for sure. Too bad the admiral's combat power needs to be saved to guard the execution platform. Among the vice-admirals. Damn it, letting us fight the enemy here while you old-timers sit back and drink tea. Hey! I'm not that old. Huashishin sighed and scanned the soldiers, but he couldn't find Kurosawa. Where did that guy go? In the sky above Marineford, a figure had appeared unnoticed. Sakazuki frowned. Kurosawa? What's he doing up there? Borsellino noticed too, his mouth agape. Wow, he can fly, too. Whitebeard looked at the figure in the air, confused. He hadn't read the newspaper that day, so he had no idea who Kurosawa was. Marco, always watching the battlefield closely, frowned as he looked at Kurosawa in the air. That guy's the Navy's rising star. What's he up to? Ha ha ha. A showboat? What a stupid move. Many of the pirates laughed when they spotted him, in the sky. Kurosawa's hair fluttered in the wind, his blue eyes blazing with an intense light. Dark power from the depths seemed to swirl around him, distorting the space. Forward formula, Tsang. Reverse formula, he. 2 balls of light, one red and one blue, materialized in the air. Kurosawa began making hand seals, speaking with certainty. 9 principles, polarized light, chaotic sound, between the inside and the outside, the complete spell, the complete seal, and cursed power pushed to its limit. Hypostyle, Z. Purple light exploded above Marineford, aimed at Whitebeard. Please give me a good review. The author will definitely work hard to update. Chapter 38. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sky throbbed with a violent, purple light. What the heck is that? The light, erupting over Marineford, seared into everyone's eyes. Thanks to the Den Mushy's real-time broadcast, the whole world witnessed the beautiful, yet terrifying spectacle. Is that some new Navy tech? Or is another admiral throwing down, perched on a giant tree in the Sabaody archipelago? Silver's Rayleigh, the Dark King who'd sparred with Kurosawa, watched the broadcast intently. Judging by the intensity of that purple light, and with his decades of battle experience, if this wasn't just for show, its power was off the charts. It might even be strong enough to threaten the emperors. Who is it? It can't be Akiji, and Akainu and Kizaru have different abilities. Is there another monster in the Navy? Rayleigh's mind flashed back to the blue-eyed Navy kid he'd met a few days before. Could it be that boy? Nah. No way he's gotten this strong in just a few days. Back on the Marineford battlefield, the purple light overhead blazed like a second sun, amplified by Kazan's ice, reflecting across every inch of the frozen landscape. Moria was baffled. There shouldn't be anyone in the Navy capable of this kind of attack. Doflamingo threw his arms wide and cackled. Fuff. Who's putting on this light show? The Navy? Even Boa Hancock, who'd been completely focused on Luffy, was jolted back to reality. Her mesmerizing eyes betrayed confusion and shock. Is that Vegapunk's latest invention? Bartholomew Kuma, book in hand, gaped slightly. His mechanical eyes activated a special zoom function, revealing Kurosawa at the heart of the purple light. Even Mihawk, who always seemed above it all, showed a flicker of surprise. As the world's greatest swordsman, his instincts were unparalleled. Even from that distance, he could sense the cataclysmic energy contained within that purple light, and the devastation it would cause if unleashed. Kazan, hands in his pockets, gazed upward. Whoa, that's packing some heat. Borsellino's sunglasses reflected the purple glow. Whoa, scary stuff. Kurosawa. Akainu grinned. Whitebeard, let's see you handle that. Sengoku sputtered. Who is it? Check the target. Is it aimed at Whitebeard? Too obvious. Ace, kneeling and cuffed on the execution platform, looked horrified. Pops. Garp, mid-nose-pick, froze, staring blankly at the sky. That's Roger-level power. Someone like that's in the Navy. How'd I miss that? The clashing red and blue energies amplified the purple light, swirling into a twisted vortex of immense power. Even the battle-hardened Whitebeard pirates felt a primal unease. Marco, who'd been watching the entire battlefield, looked especially grim. That new Navy hotshot cooked that up. No way, even I feel the danger. Whitebeard's eyes narrowed, fixated on the spreading purple aura. The raw energy emanating from it reminded the legendary pirate of a battle long ago, against the arrogant king, Jold, Roger, god avoidance. A technique that could only be mastered by combining top-tier conqueror's Hawkeye with unparalleled swordsmanship. Now, this unknown kid made him feel the same gut-wrenching pressure he'd felt back then. Gurare. Instead of fear, Whitebeard felt a surge of excitement. High above, Kurosawa's hair whipped around his head, the purple energy honed to a razor's edge under his control. Hypostyle, purple, then, the explosion. Buzz, a colossal sphere of purple light erupted, leaving a trail of warped, dark purple space in its wake. The very air seemed to buckle under the crushing force. In a blink, the purple void style was upon Whitebeard, the light consuming his vision. Immortal Thistle, Marco, wreathed in blue flames, launched himself into the path, his burning wings spinning into an indestructible shield. Marco braced himself, confident that his immortal flames and powerful Hawkeye could withstand even an attack from Kaido for a short time. Then, the Void Style and Phoenix March collided head-on. It was like a freight train powered by lightning smashing into a fire-breathing beast. Clang! The Void Style detonated, instantly searing away half of Marco's face. But thanks to the undying flame, the melted flesh began to regenerate almost immediately. Marco grinned. He'd felt the force of the purple light. It was strong, no doubt, but as long as it couldn't break through his defense on the first hit, he'd win. Even an attack from one of the emperors wouldn't be able to do anything to him, huh? Marco suddenly sensed something was wrong. What was going on with this attack? Why was the pain so intense? He realized, with a jolt, that the power of the void style went far beyond surface level. Even if the purple light was incredibly powerful, it shouldn't be unbearable, but the regeneration speed of his undying flame, why was it so slow? It was as if some force was suppressing the undying flame. That couldn't be right. But those watching didn't know what Marco was experiencing. What they saw was Marco, taking the full brunt of what looked like a cataclysmic attack. A Marine gritted his teeth. It's Whitebeard's 1st Division commander. Phoenix Marco. Way to go, Captain Marco, that the pirates cheered, but kinda scowled. Marco's defense was stronger than he'd anticipated. He'd have to up the ante on his magma dog if he faced him later. Sengoku gnashed his teeth, regretting that the attack had failed. So close. It almost took out their commander, that even Whitebeard smiled proudly, seeing Marco block the attack. That's my boy, Marco, huh? Before Whitebeard could finish, the collision scene in the sky underwent a dramatic shift. After a brief burst of burning, the purple light suddenly rolled over. Pops, watch out. Chapter 39. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The pain from the cursed attack was unreal. Kurosawa's cursed attack now had the Curse King's blessing. Even Marco's rapidly regenerating blue immortal flame couldn't withstand the Hollow Shiki's overwhelming power. Marco's body was engulfed by the Hollow Shiki's purple energy. The pain was beyond anything he'd ever experienced. Even someone as resilient as Marco couldn't hide his agony. Actually, Marco's face wasn't even recognizable anymore. If he had a human face, it would definitely be twisted in agony. Normally, the immortal flame erased any pain from his wounds, but this purple light was almost unbearable. The intense pressure was breaking down his regeneration, and he could no longer maintain it. Dad, watch out, that he barely got the words out when, the purple light was less than 15 feet from Whitebeard. Even at that distance, Whitebeard's skin could feel the stinging pain of the hollow style. It was a violent, crushing wave of purple energy. The other Whitebeard Pirates captains were too far away to react. Then, to the shock of everyone watching, Whitebeard was forced to act. Bang! Whitebeard threw a left hook. With no time to fully channel his devil fruit power or hockey, he managed to muster enough force to knock out a vice admiral. The giant fist slammed into the void style, purple. Crack, crack, massive cracks spread rapidly as the violent purple energy trembled. Everyone held their breath, fixated on the collision as Whitebeard's shockwave, like an invisible storm, fought back against the void style, purple. The screen showed two distinct zones, one purple and one white. Whitebeard blocked it. On the Moby Dick, a ship that had weathered countless battles, massive chunks were now breaking off from the sheer force of the clash. Then, to Whitebeard's horror, the void style, purple suddenly exploded, like a cosmic wormhole swallowing everything in its path. Buzz, boom, boom, on the icy battlefield, a deep purple tunnel ripped across Marineford, an unforgettable sight for the world. After blasting through Whitebeard, the void style, purple continued on, finally stopping after tearing through a second giant ship on the far side. If Whitebeard hadn't resisted with everything he had, the attack would have driven him straight into Marineford's inner bay. As it was, Whitebeard had absorbed the full force of the void style, purple at maximum output. He had no choice. If he hadn't deflected its power, he'd be humiliated in front of the entire world. Losing face was one thing, but it would crush their morale. And in a war like this, that was unacceptable to Whitebeard, on the battlefield, the only sound was the echoing roar of the explosion. Everyone stared at the end of the purple tunnel, desperate to see Whitebeard's condition after withstanding the attack. The world was buzzing with speculation. Is Whitebeard going to die just like that? Is it possible? That attack was insane. Even Marco couldn't stop it. Speaking of which, how's Marco? On the ice, a ball of blue flame slowly reformed into a human shape, but the process was agonizingly slow. Finally able to speak, Marco looked up, concerned. Ignoring the searing pain all over his body, he prepared to fly up and find Whitebeard. Dad, that the Moby Dick was a wreck. Its figurehead was smashed, and a massive, deep gash ran through the hull like a plowed field. Even if the Whitebeard Pirates won this battle, the Moby Dick was finished. The surviving pirates scrambled up from all over the ship. If Whitebeard hadn't absorbed most of the holostyle, Purple's power, everyone on board would have been wiped out. Dad! Are you okay? Bastard! How dare you attack Dad? That the camera focused on the end of the purple tunnel. As the deep purple energy slowly dissipated, Whitebeard's face came into view. His battle robe was torn, and traces of purple energy clung to his body, especially his left hand, which was coated in a dark purple residue. That was the lingering cursed energy, capable of corroding flesh, but the most obvious sign of injury was the bright red blood trickling from the corner of Whitebeard's mouth. Whitebeard is injured. The man who calls himself the strongest in the world is hurt. Wow! The world erupted in chaos. The Navy soldiers cheered, while fear gripped the pirates. Right at the start of the battle, their leader, the strongest man, the Emperor of the Sea, Whitebeard, had been wounded. And even with Marco's help, he was clearly struggling. The atmosphere shifted, and the balance of the war began to tilt toward the Navy. FFFFFFFFF. No way. That's Whitebeard. Doflamingo laughed, throwing his head back, while Boa Hancock looked shocked. If that attack had been aimed at her, the outcome would have been uncertain. Whitebeard frowned and glared upward, his eyes burning with fury. The lingering cursed energy of the holostyle, purple, was eating away at him, causing him immense pain. Following Whitebeard's gaze, the camera panned up to the sky. At the end of the purple tunnel stood a black-haired figure, radiating confidence. Silver's Rayleigh's eyes narrowed as he locked eyes with the figure on the screen. He stared in disbelief at the person responsible for all of this, that black-haired figure. It's that kid. On screens around the world, Kurosawa tilted his head slightly, his blue eyes reflecting the world's gaze. That's Kurosawa. He's the one who seriously injured Whitebeard. Who is Kurosawa? He's the Navy's rising star. Didn't you read the paper? He's the challenger. Back at Marineford, on the execution platform, Sengoku realized that the battle had shifted in the Navy's favor because of one man. He couldn't help but grin. He had to seize this opportunity. Grabbing the Den Mushi, Sengoku shouted with all his might. Attention all personnel. We have successfully wounded the enemy commander, Whitebeard. This devastating blow was delivered by the Navy's superstar, Kurosawa. He is the future of the Navy. Even Whitebeard, the self-proclaimed strongest man in the world, can't withstand the future of the Navy. The Navy will win this battle. All troops, attack. This is my first fanfic. Please support the author by giving me some good reviews. Thank you so much. Chapter 40. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The battle was over. In the sacred land of Marihoa, the five elders watched the war unfold in real time through Den Mushi. What a waste not to recruit Kurosawa into CP! Exclaimed the god of finance. The god of agriculture replied, no way. Garp got to him first and brought him into the Navy. Once he caught Garp's eye, it was already a lost cause. That level of attack could threaten even the four emperors, said the god of law. Even Lucci isn't that strong. What a shame, that the god of environment stated, if he won't work for us, he's no different from the enemy. Just eliminate him. Let's hold on, suggested the god of science defense. Vegapunk's new weapons are about to debut. You'll be impressed. Meanwhile, on the battlefield of Marineford, Doflamingo stared at the figure in the sky in disbelief, his expression shifting from shock to amusement. Fufufu. It's that kid. The CP guys must be kicking themselves right now. No way. It's that bastard. Mariah's face contorted. The guy he had a run-in with not long ago suddenly possessed such immense power. If they met again, Mariah would likely be crushed by this kid. Hawkeye my hawk, usually so aloof, smirked. Interesting kid. Bartholomew Kuma remained expressionless, his mouth moving silently, words only he could hear. You truly are a man who can fight dragons, son. Kurosawa. Upon seeing Kurosawa's face, Boa Hancock, the pirate empress who scorned all men, visibly recoiled. How can there be such a handsome man in this world? And he's so powerful. Come to think of it, he must be the one who injured Luffy in the Sabaody archipelago a few days ago. That means, he's my enemy. I'll settle things with him later. Boa Hancock's face regained its composure as she fixed her gaze on Kurosawa. Huashushin cleared the pirates in front of him with a powerful sword strike. He looked up at the black-haired figure in the sky and smiled genuinely. He's a product of my training camp, all right. Nearby, a dark-clad warrior finished off a pirate with a razor-sharp technique. He glanced at the figure in the sky, a smile creeping onto his face. Of course, Instructor Huashushin, he's the boss of our training camp. Miguel then turned his attention to the distance, where a captain of the Whitebeard Pirates was wreaking havoc. If the boss is this strong, I can't afford to fall behind. Flying Squirrel chimed in, indeed, you've produced an incredible talent. Steeral stretched his shoulders. With such a brave younger generation, we old-timers need to step it up, or we'll be out of a job. The powerful figure surged forward, clearing a vast area of pirates in moments. The morale of the Navy soldiers soared. The vice admirals are moving. They're so strong. Whitebeard Pirates. Your end is here. Kill. In the sky, blue eyes surveyed the battlefield as the surging cursed energy within Kurosawa subsided. Through the all-seeing six eyes, he could clearly assess Whitebeard's physical condition. My strongest hollow technique only caused that much damage to Whitebeard, and Marco absorbed most of it anyway. Oh well, it was just a test. Kurosawa reasoned, but the captains of the Whitebeard Pirates were enraged. Kurosawa had injured their father. Flower Sword Vista's face hardened, the blade in his hand gleaming menacingly. Are you kidding me? Some punk like you hurt Pops. I was careless, Marco admitted, his face grim. The pain had subsided, but the humiliation inflicted by Kurosawa fueled his fury. You bastard, you dared attack Pops. Let me teach you a lesson. Marco's hands blazed with blue immortal flames, generating powerful gusts of wind that propelled him skyward. Like a blue arrow, he shot towards the heavens with incredible speed and ferocity. Kurosawa met Marco's attack with unwavering composure. Just you. Seems you've already forgotten what pain feels like. Damn brat. You must be drained after that attack. How dare you act so cocky? Prepare to die. Marco roared, rapidly closing the distance. Marco is attacking Kurosawa. This is bad. Kurosawa's in danger. The Marines cried out in alarm. Even veteran vice admirals like Huashushin wore worried expressions. While Kurosawa's earlier move was impressive, they still viewed it as a lucky shot, and as Marco pointed out, Kurosawa must be exhausted after such a powerful attack, right? That's low, attacking a junior like that.